WGSN-DB, the Going Solo Network presents with Transformational Life Coach.
Hello and welcome to the Manifest Your Ideal Life show. My name's Angela Kane and I'm your host along with my dear friend and colleague Mary Tudor. You're listening to WGSN-DB, the Going Solo Network. Both Mary and I are transformational life coaches, and this show is all about how to consciously manifest your ideal life. Over the coming weeks, we'll be exploring all the ways in which we sabotage our happiness and get in our own way, and how to move past that into consciously creating what we want instead of what we don't want. And so coming up today, we're discussing the wheel of life. To get where we want to go, we have to discover where we are. And the wheel of life is a perfect tool to help you do that. So before we go any further, let's say hello to Mary. Are you there, Mary?
Oh, hi, Angela, and everybody who's listening to us today. Great to be with you again. And I'm really excited about working with you all on the wheel of life. The wheel of life is an amazing tool to use to raise your consciousness about where you are in life, where your balance is, and where perhaps you're out of balance. And then it gives you an opportunity to make shifts and changes. The wheel of life is a visual aid to understanding all this. And we have put the diagram of the wheel of life on our show site, so it's readily available for you to download, print it out and work with in your own time. But just for now, just to get us going, if you visualize 5 radiating circles, divide those circles into 8 segments, and then number each circle 1 to 5, 1 in the center, 5 on the outer circle. So there, within that little visual, you have created a wheel with 8 spokes on it, and that's created 8 segments. The segments can be what we have suggested on the printed diagram, or they can be what you would choose. And maybe, Angela, would you like to share with listeners what we've got on our own diagram, and maybe we can talk about where listeners might choose to put something different for themselves?
Yes, certainly, Mary. Happy to do that, of course. So the wheel that we're working with today is, as Mary said, divided into 8 segments, and those segments are work, relationships, and so the relationships can be anything from relationships with your family, relationships with your divorced partner if you're divorced or separated, relationships with your children, pretty much any relationships in your life. And then we move on to finances, then we move on to learning, so if you're learning anything new at the moment, if you're taking a new course or something like that, and your future, where you see your future going, that's very important. Your home life, how happy are you at home at the moment? How is everything going there? Your leisure time, do you exercise and do you go to the gym, or do you have a hobby that you do instead? Your health and fitness, so are you as healthy as you would like to be at the moment? Are you taking care of yourself? Are you eating nourishing food? Those sorts of things. And that takes us back to work again. So those are the areas that are divided on the wheel. And then all you do is, as Mary mentioned, is those areas are numbered 1 to 5. And so if you hate your job at the moment and you can't wait to get another one, then that would be a 1. If you are so happy in your home life, whether that be with a partner or single, it doesn't matter. If your home life is really, really happy and you know that couldn't be improved, or you feel it's perfect or near perfect, that would be a 5. And so when you've completed all the different aspects of your life, you can really clearly see when you link all the numbers together, whether or not your life is in balance. And most people, I know from my own Mary and others that I've seen, they're nothing like a circle when they're done, are they? It's really interesting to see the finished result.
It is, and for me, Angela, I think when I first came across this many years ago, I was thinking, what is this wheel of life? And I thought, yeah, okay, spokes. But it was only when I had drawn my dots together and joined them up, and I thought, that is not a wheel, Mary. That is giving you a really bumpy ride in life. It's not a wheel, a perfect circle. Sure, we can't always get that perfection, but it helps us to work towards something, and it helps us see where we have places in our lives where we could make significant improvements to help us feel better. And after all, that's what this is all about, is feeling better. As you feel better, so you vibrate differently. And
Absolutely.
I think that's something that we can perhaps, after we've taken the break, we can perhaps explore a little bit more each of these segments, and how might people feel and what might be the consequences of that.
Yes, that's a great idea, Mary. Yes. I think it also helps really when people can go to our page, our show page, and download the wheel. It's really powerful to have that visual in front of you, isn't it? And to look at it. And, you know, it's difficult to visualize probably for many people as we're talking about it. But when you actually have it in front of you, it's really, really great to actually see. It's like, oh, my goodness, it's a real awakening moment.
It is. There's actually no hiding from what is a truth that you've placed on a piece of paper in front of you. And it did, I mean, certainly when I first used it for myself, and I've come back to it a number of times in life to say, yeah, it's a good time to do a wheel of life, Mary. And you look at it and you think, really, I'd actually ignored that whole area of my life. I want to actually put some more effort into it now. I want to put more focus. I want to get more direction. No wonder life's been a bit feeling off, because I've quite literally been out of balance.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. So when we come back, we're going to take a quick break shortly, but when we come back, we will be discussing some of the areas. We probably won't get through all of them today, but it will give you an idea of the sorts of things that you want to put on your wheel, and also how we can improve those areas and what we can do, and how they are, if one area in your life is really, really poor, then how is that going to impact your whole being? So we'll discuss more about that after we come back from this break.
This is Cece Schatz, and I'm an inspirational speaker, divorce, life, and transitional coach with a unique style of healing from within. With that, been here, done that approach to life. I hope you'll join me each and every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time with Going Solo with Cece, where we bring you educational, informative discussions through the devastation feelings of divorce to finding yourself and redefining your best life. We will take a lighthearted and candid approach to discussions on the journey of divorce, parenting, being single, relationships, dating, and yes, sex. So be sure to tune in every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time with Going Solo with Cece.
Hello and welcome back to the Manifest Your Ideal Life show with me, Angela Kane, and my colleague Mary Tudor. You're listening to WGSN-DB on the Going Solo network. And before the break, we were discussing the Wheel of Life. And if you've just tuned in, as we mentioned that the Wheel of Life that we're talking about on the show will be available as a PDF for you to download on our site page, on our show page on the site. And we were talking about, Mary, weren't we, about the different aspects of the wheel and how we divided the wheel into different segments and different areas of our life, and how if one of those or more are really not working well for us at the moment, obviously we put that as a 1, but in the bigger picture, how that would impact on our life. And last week we were talking about how everything is energy, and I think this is a good place to discuss that in a bit more detail, Mary, don't you? Because everything is energy. And if your energy is really, really low in one area of your life, that can impact in every area of your life.
This is such an important point, Angela, because this show is all about manifesting your ideal life. What we're asking listeners to do with this Wheel of Life worksheet that's available is to take a good, long, honest look at what is going on in their life. So if, for example, I'm looking at the relationship segment, and I'm perhaps deciding to say I specifically want to look at my relationship with my significant other, because even though I'm separated, I've still got a relationship with my significant other. If I'm scoring a 1 on that because it's pretty rubbish at the moment, then I need to be honest about saying, it's pretty rubbish at the moment. What does that mean my vibration is that I am emitting? What am I sending out energetically into the world, into my world that I am creating? Because everything we do is our own creation. So I think this Wheel of Life diagram is an incredibly good starting point for people who would like to honestly look at where they are and say, okay, now consciously I want to make a shift. And I'm not going to go from 1 to 5 overnight. But what I might say in my relationship with my significant other is, what steps might I take to take me from a 1 to a 2? If I went to circle 2, would that bring me into greater balance in my life? Absolutely yes, from a 1. And what would it take for me to do that? And sometimes it's just as simple as a perception. Yeah. Maybe how am I looking at my relationship with a significant other? Have I got my glasses on which say, I look through the eyes of a victim? Or do I have my glasses on that say, I look through my eyes in which I am a rising heroine or hero, whichever one we're looking at? But it is very important to say, what's my perspective? Might a shift in that, take me from a 1 to a 2? What would it take? Often not very much. Maybe there's a belief that I could shift, or a thought that I could shift. And each of those things actually has a profound impact on our vibration. And as I lift my vibration, what I start to create in my own reality has to shift. It has to shift.
Absolutely, absolutely, Mary. It's law, isn't it? It's universal law that has to happen. And, you're so right when you say that we can't go from a 1 to a 5 because it's too much of a gap. And there is a gap there from where we are to where we want to be. Yeah. But to just reach out and look for a better feeling thought, something that's going to make us feel that little bit better. And if we look at the emotional scale, the David Hawkins emotional scale that I use a lot with my clients, that we can see that you can't possibly take a jump from deep despair to joy. It's not possible. But, if you could go from something like shame to anger, and believe it or not, anger is a higher vibration than shame. And so we just need to reach for, look at what we're thinking and reach for something that's going to make us feel a little bit better, because, of course, what we are thinking creates how we feel.
And how we feel is how we vibrate. And how we vibrate is how we attract. And this is so key for anybody to understand who wants to create their ideal life. It is very empowering to understand that how you feel, how you behave, how you act is all simply energy. It's energy moving. It's that you can shift. It's that you can make a change to. So becoming very conscious of, how do I feel? What am I thinking? Those sorts of things are fundamental to improving your life all the time. So I think this Wheel of Life is a great place for people to start, to say, okay, sit down quietly on your own. Take a good look at where you are on the Wheel of Life. What shape is your wheel? Where would you like your wheel to be? And in fact, as well as just the diagram for people, we've also got on our site for download some extensions of this, where we invite people to actually think about their goal statements that they might like to have.
Yes.
Taking them forward in that way. So really, it's a very, very constructive thing for people to start with.
It is, and it's a really, really useful tool, isn't it, Mary? I can't express how useful it is, because I think most people don't ever take the time to actually, sit down and look at your life. You probably plan your week of viewing on the TV and spend more time on that, or what you're going to record.
You do.
than actually what where you are in your life, and how are you going to improve that and make it better. And if we don't look at things, I'm not a big believer in dwelling on years and years and years of therapy, but I do believe that we have to look at situations and feel into them, and so we can move through them.
Absolutely.
And get to the other side.
Yeah.
And, and wallowing in it is, it is a journey, and wallowing in it is not going to do us any good. Yes, if you're feeling real trauma and pain, then of course, express those emotions, grieve, get some help, do whatever you need to do. But then decide that this is your life, and it's the most precious gift you could possibly have been given. It is for all of us. And I think sometimes we forget that. We forget how blessed we are to have this gift of life. And it's up to us and no one else. We have to take that responsibility to make the very most of it. And I believe it's our duty to do that because of the gift that we've been given. We're not here to live in misery and struggle, and are we? We're not meant to do that. No. And as vibrational beings, we naturally have a high vibration. It's just that all the stuff, the worry, the stress, the anger, all of life's hurdles that get in our way, that lower our vibration. And then it's difficult, to get that momentum to start pulling it back up. But I do think this tool, if you take the time to complete it, it's a really good visual, isn't it, Mary, of looking at where's really poor at the moment and what you can do. One little step you can take to start moving yourself up that emotional scale.
Yeah, and I've certainly found when I've used this tool for myself that often if there is a glaringly awful segment which I've gone, crikey, that's real neglect over there, and I've started to look at it and I've thought, that's too tricky for me to start with that at the moment. I've simply gone to another segment where I feel I can get an easy result. So I give myself that success and I go, okay, good, I've proved to myself that I can make a shift, I can make a change, and then I'm sitting in a higher vibration. I've got more confidence with that, and then I can turn to the more tricky one and say, okay, now let me look at that one and say, I want for myself, because I value myself, I want for myself that extra success that I've just created in that segment over there. Now I want it over here, please. What is it going to take? And that gives me much more momentum, much more commitment to myself, rather than setting myself up to say, take the hardest one first. And many of us, when we're going through separations, divorce, changes in relationship, actually the relationship one is perhaps the hardest one to look at for our significant other.
Yeah.
But what about putting in there a segment for relationship with myself?
Absolutely.
Because often when we are coming out of a partnership, we're coming out of it in a partnership where we didn't make room for ourselves. So it's a good place to start. Where's my relationship with myself? Oh, okay. Can I improve that? Because the more I value myself, the higher my vibration, the more enjoyable my life is, the more exciting my life is, the more my manifestations come good for me. Because it is truly the higher my vibration, the stronger my resonance, the stronger my pull and my interaction with the universe. And as you said earlier in the show, it is law. It has to come about.
Yes.
As I vibrate, so I create.
Absolutely. It has to manifest in some form, doesn't it, Mary? And
it does.
And unfortunately, most people are not aware of this information. And I think because you and I live in the world where it's commonplace, I only have to step outside my front door and speak to my neighbours, and I know full well that it's not. And so, for any listeners where this information may be new to them, we are going to be talking more about this, obviously, over the weeks that are coming, because this is the way we do create a life that we love. And as far as I know, it's the only way. I don't know of another way.
No, it is the only way, Angela, and for many of us, it's about waking into that empowered understanding. We've been brought up in a certain way, certain ideas. Often we're brought up with the sense that work is struggle, life is hard, money doesn't grow on trees, there's not enough to go round, there's scarcity. I've got to bag that parking space because there isn't going to be another one for me. And we get into that kind of really
that lack mindset.
Mindset and that low vibration. Coming through into a shift and a change into, can we see that we live in a universe of abundance? That actually starts to shift. And when I talk about abundance, I'm talking about things like, when you woke up this morning, did you actually breathe in? Did you actually acknowledge that there was abundance of oxygen to breathe in? Or did you wake up and you go, oh, can't breathe, there's no oxygen this morning? I know that's a bit dramatic and it's a bit of a wacky description, but it is as fundamental as saying we have such abundance around us and we forget it.
Yes, we do.
Forget it.
We do. We take so many things for granted, don't we? And just the fact that we can go into the kitchen, put, flick a switch, within seconds, a minute or so, have boiling water, make ourselves a hot drink. All of these things, so many people in the world don't have that facility. And in the Western world, we are really so blessed with all the technology that we've got. But on the other hand, we have much more stress than people living anywhere else other than the Western world, don't we? We have so many pluses, but we also have a lot of minuses as well in that score because our lives are much more stressful.
And I think that stress is generated because we have a lot of choice, and making choices can become difficult. We see a lot of things going on that we go, well, yeah, so-and-so's got that, I want that too. So we become very needy of rat race things. And it's a very quick cycle to get onto that. Once you're on it, you eventually hit a wall full of stress, burnout, because you've tried to keep up with other people's ideals, other people's notions of what it is to be happy, the stuff that you need to be happy. And it's taken us away from our true nature, our true selves, which is to say we are vibrational beings. We are pure love. That is what we are. And that is our nature, and that is our essence. And we've come so far away from it that we've become very lost. And my sense is that as people who live in the Western world, it's very important to get this message out to people, to give people the opportunity to step back into their own power, to feel their own sense of love for themselves. When did any of our listeners last think, oh, okay, tonight I'm going to actually sit down and invite myself to fall in love with myself again?
I don't think ever. I think it's highly unlikely that people do that, isn't it? And
and how can you expect someone else to fall in love with you if you can't be bothered to take the time to fall in love with yourself? It's a bit hard and hitting on a nail head, but it is part of the essence of what we need to learn here. Because when I love myself unconditionally, I come from a place of abundance. When I don't love myself unconditionally, I come from a place of need. And therefore, I reach out. And something else has to fill that need for me. And it's either food, retail therapy, or another person. And when the food doesn't work, I blame the food and I don't feel well. Clothes don't fit anymore. And then I blame my partner. Or the other people in my life. So, it's a bit of a vicious circle there, and it's good that we're ending this talking about circles because I think it's an incentive for people to go to the show site and actually download the Wheel of Life, Angela, because it is such a fantastic tool. It will lift people's vibration. And it would be great for us to hear from some of our listeners about what shifts and changes they made. So remember to email too.
Yes, do let us know if you do take the time to download the wheel and go through it. Do let us know, and I really urge you to do that, because you will be amazed. You'll be absolutely amazed at what you discover about yourself and your life if you do take the time to do that. And you are worth it. You owe that to yourself, to give yourself some time to look at your life if you're not in a great place at the moment, to really sit down, put some time in your diary, switch off your phone, make sure that you're not going to be disturbed, and give yourself the gift of that time to look at your life. Complete the wheel, complete the boxes where it asks you to fill in more information, and then look at how you can make one tiny step forward, one little thing that you can do. And there's always one that you can find that will help you feel a little bit better and help raise your vibration a little bit. And so, unfortunately, Mary, I think you and I could chat about this all day long, couldn't we? But unfortunately, we've reached the end of this week's show. So, thank you so much, Mary. I've so enjoyed our conversation.
Yes, you and you.
And thank you so much to everyone that's listened to us. And I do hope that you'll join us again next week, where we'll have more exciting and interesting information for you as to how you can manifest your ideal life. And with that, I will say goodbye and thanks again for listening. You've been listening to the Manifest Your Ideal Life show with me, Angela Kane, and my colleague Mary Tudor. And you've been listening to WGSN-DB on the Going Solo Network. So thanks for listening, everyone. Take care, and bye for now.